Okay. Okay.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir. I can. From South Coast. Kathleen. No. Not Kathleen.
David, was there another link? Because I got a notification to go on another link. Or is this the one that you're meeting on?
Hello, I'm changing my background.
I've lost
Sorry.
my audio
Hi,
connection,
Adriana.
so I need to
Hi there.
reconnect. I don't know if anybody can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. And David, I can even see you. You got a major haircut. Look at you.
Yeah,
You're getting ready for summer, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a little sun and maybe traveling to Italy.
Ooh. You need someone to carry your bags? I'll go.
Yeah.
So David, so we've got conference up, right? So should I put my conference background up?
If you'd like.
I don't have one, so I'll use what I have. It's CCAE. Hi, Dawn. Hello, John. Adriana, you're going to do the start off, right?
I got the intro.
Right, great.
I got it.
And who are you
Good.
handing off to?
And I'm handing it off to Dawn.
Yes, that's
Okay, so Dawn, you're running the slides. So leave it on the first slide until I talk about, now I'm going to go through the agenda, because I'll go through the agenda and then hand it off to you. Okay, so thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
So,
And then Dawn, when you're
Adriana, quick question for Adriana and Dawn, and hi, Dawn.
Hi there.
Do you both have permissions to share a presentation?
Yes, I do.
Great.
Yeah, I do too, but I have nothing to share. Dawn is running the slides.
Oh, okay. We have Patricia Bradshaw, who's a facilitator in the waiting room.
yes,
Yeah.
Shall I proceed to
Please.
admit?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And Kathleen, I guess I should let her in.
Please.
That's a lot of green behind me. I'm gonna change that out.
And is Deanne Cicino a
No.
facilitator?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
She's a great member of our Ledge team meeting. She's from South Coast.
Yeah, I see her a lot in the membership reports and database. She's very engaged. We have
Yes,
another
she
Victoria.
is.
Victoria, are you joining twice?
No,
somebody-
twice? No, I shouldn't
I
be.
have another Victoria waiting in the waiting
Oh,
room.
really? Well, oh, you
Mhm.
know why? Because I did log on before, but I went out because it
Oh.
wasn't connecting. I knew you were waiting. So I went
Oh.
back and went through another link. Sorry.
Oh, that's good. I'll try to, it just showed up right now. It's kind of strange.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
interesting.
I'm gonna go ahead and approve that one, see what happens.
Oh, who is
Hi,
that?
Patricia. No, I don't.
Who's under my name?
Barb.
Barbara.
Barb.
Oh, it's Barb.
Barbara,
We
you
have an
got my
imposter.
name.
Why not look like me?
Imposter.
Oh, you know what? She might have gone through my link. I showed
That's what
her.
happened.
Oh.
Oh,
Did
hey,
you
look at me. I'm Victoria.
Yeah, exactly. You were supposed to register and get your own link.
Right, I'm gonna get out and register now.
Okay, that's what happened, David. I sent them the ledge chairs, what it would look like, that this is what they get when they register. So I think she just clicked on my link.
That's, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
almost
I
made
was
the same
Kathleen.
mistake. Is Cynthia Eagleton a facilitator or just
Not
a
yet,
participant?
no. We are waiting
Okay.
for Steve for facilitators. It should be Steve. John is here. And I think that's it. Kathleen is here. Adriana
Oh,
is here.
I could look at the website, which has all the facilitators listed.
Yeah,
You know, and it's on one of Dawn's slides. I did not, I mean, my intro, you know me, short, literally and figuratively and to the point. And so my intro does not introduce the world, okay? It introduces Dawn. Basically, I do mention the ledge chairs.
you do mention them by each one.
No, not by name. I do not mention them by name. If you want me to, I will.
I think you should. It would save us time. Can you do that?
There is a slide that has them, but yeah, I can. Hold on just
Yeah,
a second.
Kathleen put it in, but I think it's not bad, just in case people are popping in. And
I didn't, hold
so we
on.
have Gail Ard, we have Patricia Bradshaw.
Okay,
You
hold
have
on.
the list handy? I can go over it.
You know what? Okay, so. oh,
I have it broken out in the slideshow for the breakout
she
session.
has it
so
in
that's
the-
helpful.
Great.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
that's why I didn't do it, to be honest with you, because Dawn has it in the slideshow.
Okay. Yes, I saw that. We're going to need to,
Here it
people will
is.
select. So maybe we will just come back to that at some point. Because people will be selecting. I just want to make sure.
Will they?
Yeah, I think so. David,
I-
do you have the group organized already? Don't they self-select for the breakout?
Well, they don't self-select. I manually select
did,
based on their
okay.
section.
Then we're good.
However, I just did an import and it seems to have cleared all of the assignments. I did a fresh batch and now I have 0 assignments. So I'm going to go back and re-upload or
Oh,
import
wow.
the assignments.
Okay.
Yeah, strange.
Okay,
Pam is in the weight room. I'm going to admit.
Pam is the facilitator.
yeah, so then you maybe, oh, okay.
I haven't seen Joanne Durkee yet.
Yeah, yeah, whenever you see her, you could let her in. She was the extra person I added.
Okay. Okay,
Well, we're at 12 p.m.
oh gosh.
Shall we go ahead and get started?
Mhm.
So,
I think so.
hold on.
So this session is being recorded. The main room, plenary room, or I guess it's the main room, will be recorded until we break out. And then please don't forget to remind facilitators if you're in and can hear me, please don't forget to press the record button when you begin your breakout session.
Thank you.
Hi, Patricia. Okay, so let me know when you're going to get started so that I can just start out. Again, my intro is like 2.5 minutes long. That's it.
Okay, well, when you're ready to rock and roll, just give me the sign and I'll let everyone in. We've got 16 in the wait room that have not been admitted yet.
Okay, so let me just find one thing really quickly, and that's over here. Perfect. Okay, so I am going to hold on just a second. I thought I was going to print out a slide so that I could have it handy. There it is.
Your cheat sheet.
Oh, okay.
You ready, Adriana?
I'm good to go.
Okay, thank you. We're ready, David.
All right, let's rock and roll. 3, 2, and 1.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, team. Good afternoon, everyone. As I'm doing this brief intro, it might be a reasonable use of the time to, if you would type in your name and your program, and if you know your section in the chat so that we can get started. Good afternoon. Happy lunchtime, everyone. On behalf of CCAE, it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's event entitled 2021 Legislative Advocacy Section Action and Planning Meeting. My name is Adriana Sanchez Aldana, and I am the Executive Director of the California Council for Adult Education, CCAE. Today's collaborative meeting is a joint effort of CCAE with the California Adult Education Administrators Association, CAIA. Before we get started, I have some logistical items to share with you. Many of you have asked if the meeting is being recorded. The answer is yes, and a link will be posted on the CCAE website. We will also make an effort to record the breakout room discussions later on in the meeting. This is a little bit different than other meetings that we've had before. I would like to thank the GED testing service and Burlington English companies that year after year have supported and continue to support our legislative activities throughout even this unusual year. I'd also like to recognize David Palmer, CCAE Office Manager, for managing the meeting, breakout rooms, and logistics for us. Thank you as well to CAIA and CCAE executive boards for planning and sharing legislative information. Thank you very much. Today, you will be working with your section legislative chairs and members of the State Legislative Committee in the breakout rooms. Your leg chairs are Bay Section, Barbara Martinez, Central Section, Tiffany Bridgewater Rowe, LA Metro, Dave Coleman, Northern Section, Patricia Bradshaw, South Coast, Gail Ard, and Southern Section, Pam Garamoni. You'll also be working with State Ledge Committee members, and they will be in, one of them will be in each of the breakout rooms. In Bay, Victoria Abate will be with you. Central, John Werner. LA Metro, Sonia Ramirez, incoming state president. Northern Section, I'll be there with Patricia. South Coast, Steve Curiel, CCAE past president. And Southern Section Pam will be with Kathleen Porter, our current CCAE president. Let me review the agenda quickly so that we can get started. Great, thank you, Dawn. Today, Dawn will be giving us this year's legislative update, as well as the CCAE and CAIA advocacy priorities and talking points. She also has some planning resources, as well as some Zoom meeting do's and don'ts. After that, we will go into breakout rooms divided by CCAE sections for networking, planning, and coordinating, and we will be meeting with our section ledge chairs. We'll have about 20 to 25 minutes before we all return to this main meeting room for any additional support or questions. Now I'll turn the digital microphone over to Dawn Kepke, CCAE and CAIA Legislative and Government Budget Advocate. Dawn?
Thank you, Adriana. Hello, happy Monday, everyone. Pleased to be joining you this morning, or I guess this afternoon at this stage. So just a couple of quick slides just to kind of level set for our breakout sessions conversations today, starting with the legislative and budget update. As you know, the governor came out with his budget in January. The legislative session is well underway. That said, we are still seeing ongoing impacts from the COVID-19 pandemic on both the budget process as well as the legislative process. Certainly continuing to operate in a virtual approach to advocacy with members within the Capitol as well as legislative staff. Additionally, noteworthy, we are seeing a growing surplus going into this budget year of 2021-2022. Specifically, the governor actually just prior to the start of this Zoom meeting announced that revenues are continuing to climb, with February's revenues even an additional $3.8 billion above projections. bringing the revenue this year to 14 billion plus over projections. So pretty significant opportunities there. But as you can imagine, a lot of different stakeholders vying for that additional revenue. That said, the estimates are that out years will see a deficit. And so certainly folks are being mindful of that. Keep in mind the legislature must pass an on-time balanced budget by June 15th. They are currently working through a number of early action items related to K-12 education, reopening, what have you, as well as health and human services, small business, and just generally COVID-19 related impacts. Additionally, the bill deadline for the legislative session resulted in many bills, policy proposals being introduced between the two houses, over 3,000 to be exact. Not all will advance, notably as well, despite the fact that things are certainly starting to look better in terms of vaccine allocations, what have you. We are still, again, operating in a largely virtual approach to legislative advocacy and hearings. And in that regard, most of those hearings are only going to be occurring twice, despite in normal years, many more hearings beyond that. And ultimately, the legislative session will adjourn around September 10th. So let's jump into the priorities and advocacy talking points that you've seen on a number of occasions, not only this year, but many of which kind of have been important priorities for us the last few. Specifically starting off with an increased COLA to 3.8 in line with K-12's COLA that is proposed for this budget cycle. We have had some pretty significant support coming from a variety of organizations. The ACE, the Association for Continuing Community Education, our non-credit community college partners, have stepped up to support this ask of increased COLA for the adult education program in line with the K-12 system. We've also seen additional support from the EDGE Coalition, some of our labor partners, and more. So we're certainly on strong ground with a lot of support for that, but we must continue to push ahead to ensure that we actually do see an increased COLA going into the May revised budget proposal and final budget that will be wrapped up by June 15th. Additionally, as many of you know, are all too familiar with, the funding distribution has been a significant point of concern for adult education providers in both systems, but most severely in the K-12 system, with our adult schools not actually receiving their allocation for a school year until as late as January or February of that school year, which is unacceptable and is a large result and almost entirely related to the process-oriented aspects between the Chancellor's Office and the Department of Education. So in order to address that and to ensure that we're staving off any potential impacts you all may feel from your district amid their need to float those funds until such times that money comes in, we're proposing just to eliminate those process-oriented steps between CDE and the Chancellor's Office, and instead request a specific line item in the CDE budget, and for that funding to go directly to CDE for distribution to adult schools, rather than having to go through the Chancellor's Office, interagency agreement process, to CDE, to the adult schools, what have you, which is resulting in very significant delays in that funding. I will say, and this is certainly an important point to be highlighted with the legislature as you conduct your meetings. The Department of Finance and Administration up to this point have largely indicated that they believe they could resolve this through administrative changes. We do continue to have concerns about that, and that ultimately it may not result in a long-term solution and fix for this problem, versus having that CDE line item and having that funding go directly to CDE. Cutting out all that process will help ensure kind of more smooth transition and funding delivery. With regard to carryover, again, we continue to want to ensure that there is accountability for carryover of adult education funds. The legislature has been clear that they provide that allocation of funding to be used in that budget year to serve the great need and unmet need in your communities and their communities statewide. So in order to ensure that we don't have providers in either system carrying over large sums of money, some providers even carrying over 100% of their yearly allocation, wanting to ensure that there is some accountability and yet grace provided to those entities to ensure there is a plan for the use of those funds and to establish some clear parameters, metrics, and thresholds by which we'd like to keep that carryover down to ensure those funds are going towards using for serving students in that budget year that it's at hand. So certainly very important. We do note that while our K-12 adult education efforts are certainly pushing strongly on this, we would also just note that there is opposition from the community college partners, and so want to flag that for you. But again, continuing to work with the legislature on this proposal and language to move this forward. So more to come, and certainly hope that you'll stand with us to advocate for addressing this issue. And then finally, we are working with the legislature as well, specifically the Assembly Education Committee, to incorporate a number of education code updates into the California statutes. You may be aware that with the update and change of the adult education system to fall under the post-secondary codes and into the adult education program, much of the K-12 adult school and adult education code sections were never updated to align to what we know now as the California Adult Education Program. So these education code changes and updates are not substantive. They are seeking purely just to align the current code for the K-12 providers with what we know as is our operating approach under adult education program today. And that is being pursued, I would also just note, via a policy omnibus and cleanup bill. And we'll be getting you more information about that once that bill number is set. So let's chat a little bit about meeting planning resources. So in terms of legislative advocacy, keeping in mind that some of the important aspects of this are to familiarize yourself with talking points that we've provided to you, as well as those specific priorities that go along with those. Additionally, as part of this effort, ensure that you're doing those legislator outreaches, setting up your virtual meetings. Ideally, you would be already in process, if not already, to have had some of those meetings now, or at least by the next month or within the next week or so. And then doing another round of follow-up meetings right before we head into the May revised budget proposal to do a final push with us at the state level to get these issues addressed. You're going to want to make sure you identify the participants and coordinate the logistics among those of you that will be participating in those virtual meetings. Additionally, as part of those process steps, you're going to want to submit a meeting request via email to those legislators' offices to ensure that they have some specific information about what you're seeking to chat with that legislator about. So the subject of the meeting, wanting to talk about adult education and our priorities for this year, as well as the requested timeframes in terms of when you and those that are going to be participating are available to do so, giving some options, not just securing or just focused on one particular one. You want to be as flexible as possible and provide a few options a few weeks out. Additionally, you're going to want to share who the participants will be on that meeting, including your adult school director, principal, your teachers, classified students, to give the member's office a sense of who will be participating so they can prep the member accordingly. And then additionally, you should ensure that you're scheduling a participant prep call among yourselves to organize yourself ahead of those meetings to ensure you're a well-oiled machine, you have an order, who's going to open up the meeting, who's going to touch upon those key points, what have you. So let's chat briefly about some do's and don'ts for advocacy. So keeping in mind that there's a critical need for grassroots advocacy, the key focus first and foremost, above all else, is relationship building. And in that relationship building, tying the work we're doing here at the Capitol, advocacy here at the state level, to what's happening locally in their individual districts through you and your students. You want to make sure you're educating the legislator and their legislative staff, not presuming that they know already all about adult education. You never want to do that, but ensure that they know who you are, where you are, who you're serving, the value that you're providing to their constituents, etc. And it also, namely, after you do that initial round and with an initial focus on relationship building, advocate briefly for those key priorities via those talking points that we've provided to you. So for some don'ts of grassroots advocacy, do not be late for your appointment. Do not mispronounce your legislator's name. If you're not sure, be sure to send us a note. We can kind of try to type that out or spell it out for you in a phonetic way. Also, don't assume, as I mentioned before, that your legislator or their staff is an expert. We never want to assume that. You want to make sure that when you're speaking about things, you do not use acronyms. So to say CAPE, they're not going to know whether you are a superhero or you just, like to wear capes around playing with your children. So spell it out, California Adult Education Program. Also, don't belabor the issue. Get to the point, be as brief as possible. Typically, these meetings are scheduled for about 15 to 20 minutes, leaving a few minutes at the end for some back and forth, questions from the member, what have you. So get to the point, don't belabor the issues. And always note that you can follow up with more information thereafter. Also, don't remind them you're a taxpayer. Not often well received. They're very mindful of that already. As far as the do's, do be sure to know your legislator's political affiliation. Knowing that will help with your conversation and ensure that you're hitting some of the relevant and right angles that are maybe more receptive to one party than another. Additionally, you want to make sure you're relating those priorities and talking points to the broad public concerns. So amid the COVID-19 pandemic, loss of jobs, for many of the most marginalized in our communities, adult education serves those particular individuals with short-term career retraining, which is critically important. The fact that we can set up those programs very quickly is definitely the type of talking points you want to support. Also ensure you're being a good listener so that you're catching any cues where a member or staff may be confused or perhaps may, have some concern. You want to make sure you're listening so you can hear that. And ultimately, be sure and don't be shy about seeking a commitment to support your asks. That commitment is mission critical to the work we do and our success. And finally, in terms of once you've completed that meeting, make sure you're following up on those meetings, send a thank you letter, follow up on any additional information that may be requested or questions. Also be sure to send updates on those meetings, any commitments you've secured, any additional questions or issues that maybe I need to follow up with that member or legislative staff. Be sure to send that information on via CCAE and CAIA. That information is super helpful and helps kind of guide us as we do our advocacy at the state level. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to our team, and we're going to go into breakout sessions. So Victoria, Adriana, turn it over to you.
I think that, just a second, I know Victoria is the expert on the breakout sessions, but just before we do that, I know that we had a question in the chat, Dawn, and maybe this would be really good to address to everyone before we go into the breakout sessions, is that from Beth Cutter and also Eric Saavedra, why is there resistance from the community colleges related to the carryover? If you could just maybe go a little bit more into that, Dawn.
Right. So as part of our conversations with the chancellor's office, community colleges, what have you, they do have concerns about establishing the carryover criteria as we've proposed. They don't disagree with the need for greater accountability. So that is certainly kind of some place to start. But they do have concerns about our proposal to limit that carryover to 15%. They instead would like to see that set at 40%. I think from our perspective, that would really be status quo and wouldn't result in any meaningful improvement to ensure those resources are not held on to and instead being used to help support kind of growth in programming and service of students who are not able to access our programs. I'd welcome, maybe Victoria, Steve, any of our other leadership team to weigh in and with any other additional comments on that. But ultimately, that really comes down to the issue. I think they, perhaps do see some of the challenges on the horizon financially with potential economic downturns and want to hold on to some of those resources for that period of time. But in the flip side of that is ultimately in doing so, we're not serving as many students as we could today. Not to mention when we do make the argument for increased funding, we're constantly reminded that we do have large sums of carryover still sitting in accounts. But I'd certainly welcome our leadership team to chime in with additional points and feedback.
Steve, do you have anything? I think you've pretty much said it all from my perspective, Dawn, but Steve, would you like to share anything further?
Yeah, I think I'll add one of the tricky things in this conversation is, as Dawn mentioned earlier, the funding right now as it comes through in the budget is really under the community college chancellor's office. So when we're pointing out that there's issues with this fund, this pot of money, I can't help but think there's a little bit of I don't know, embarrassment maybe is the word, that they would not want to just openly admit. In fact, there was a hearing where the vice chancellor said, oh, there's not a big issue, or we'll be down to 4% carryover by the end of the year. We calculated carryover across the state to be somewhere around 20, I think it was 20%, right around there. So just overall, and that's just on average across the whole state. So 20% of $550 million is over $100 million that's not being spent. And so from our perspective, and this is why it's going to be a little bit tricky for us, we feel we need more funding for adult ed because that's our main pot of money. That is maybe not the case on the chancellor side because they have other pots of money that they're tapping into. So there's not as a big of imperative for them to address this issue when they're pretty secure in their other fund sources. So it's a very complicated issue. I can understand their position. The initial proposal or the what they submitted with the 40% carryover. Imagine if we went to 40%, then everybody would get the message, okay, let's all save to 40% because that's what state's telling us to do. So now we go from 100 million not spent to 200 million not spent, which would be worse for our students and worse for our adult ed system overall. So I think it's just a different perspective from us. And to be fair, to be honest, I mean, a lot of people don't like the state telling them what they can and can't do with their money. There's that aspect of it too. But I think this is an example where CCAE puts students first above policies and local, even local district intent, where we want our students to get served and get those services now rather than sometime in the future where something might happen or might not happen.
Steve, I'd like to add too, isn't it also the case that if a consortium needed like something special, like for capital gain, for capital building, things like that, they can put that in their agreement and carry a little bit over for that. So
Yes.
It's not as if we would be hampering anybody with 15%.
Correct. It stays true to the local consortium as a group deciding how the money is going to be spent. So if a consortium wants to give money for someone, I know this is the case up in Oakland, if Oakland's on, that they've been saving for a building and they all are aware of it and we're okay with it. So that's fine. It's just, we just want people to be aware of it and that it's part of the planning, like the state told us we should be doing, which we think is a good aspect of what we do in CAPE. Other questions? Carry over with the plan, yes.
Yeah, carry over with the plan is a great way to put it. So Victoria, do you want to talk about the logistics of the breakout sessions?
Yes, I think David has us all ready to go. David, just confirming that that is correct, or are we self-selecting?
We have a majority of attendees pre-assigned,
Right.
but there are a few of you who don't have a breakout room assigned. So you'll be prompted to select a room to join. Just select the name of your CCAE section. And if you don't know, feel free to shoot me a message and we'll help get you to the right room.
Great, thank you, David. So you heard that mostly those who have listed on their registration, we know your section, your membership, so he has placed you in the right rooms. You're going to have time now for discussion and planning. A reminder of some of the key things we would like you to do when you are talking with your section colleagues. You will have your section ledge chair to lead and facilitate, and you will have one of our state leadership team also co-facilitating to answer questions and help as well. A reminder that we would like you to record those sessions. So be sure when you get into the breakout room, one of either the section ledge chair or please the state leadership, if you would record. Some things to remember, we have everything on the website, all the tools and the resources that you need. High priority is the organization of your team. Who are those who will be participating with you at your meetings? We definitely want your leadership, school leadership. We definitely want your instructional staff, definitely students' voices. And we hope you will be thinking broadly also about board members, colleagues who you work with in your community, members of your workforce development board, whoever can partner with you and share the good work that you do both locally as a school and in your consortium. Talking points, we've been through those. The asks are very important to ensure that you're comfortable and understand what the asks are. I want to encourage you, for those who have not yet created your data or fact sheets about your school, that's the annual update we do. We have many samples that are available. We have some on the website. You can look at those as a template or model. Always student voices, whether you have short videos, and if you don't have time maybe to show them during your meeting, certainly you can send that, the digital version, to your legislator and staff. Student letters are wonderful. Also, anything that gets the student voice presented and their story, as well, of course, as them telling their story directly. And we want to remind you that we have also via the website a resource for you now. This year, we are going to go full scale with the feedback form. It is a simple form to give us the feedback that Dawn asked for. There's no paper form, but it is accessible on the website. And one final reminder is your resolution. And if you have a resolution that your board puts forward for you, it would be wonderful to share that resolution as well with your legislator, your staff, and any of your community members to show the support of our K-12 districts. So with that, we will now go into our breakout rooms for a discussion. And I do want to remind you that this planning time should also focus on the scheduling, so that some of you have the same legislator. We have some schools that have the same legislator, so we want you to work in teams so that you aren't coming and going in meetings, seeing your colleagues going out and you going in and double booking. It would be wonderful for you to team up and to do that together. And I think with that, we will go into the breakout rooms and then we will come back for a short close. Anything else, David, do you need to tell us in terms of instructions?
No, I think you've covered it all.
Okay, then let's go into our breakout rooms and see you there.
Okay, so there may be a few, looks like about 10 folks who I don't have room assignments assigned to. For some reason they got lost or disconnected when I tried to re-import them recently. So I'm going to give you the option to self-select your breakout room. If you have any options, just let me know, or if you have any questions.
We don't see a choice for breakout rooms.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to get to it, but I'd like South Coast if I could.
Yeah. I have to find the option to activate, and you'll see an invitation to join.
It's not under the view options drop down menu, isn't it?
No.
And I would like to go to base section if I could. This is Leslie.
This Francisco Pinedo also with the Bay section, please.
And Jenna Chestone, please send to the Bay. Thanks.
Actually, this is working just fine.
Daniel Soriano, can you send to the South Coast section?
You got it, Daniel. Thank you.
Jonathan Roslin to the Bay section, please.
Thank you.
Celeste Travis, Central section, please.
Hi, Celeste, Central.
Tracy Foreman, South Coast.
Stacy, where are you? Oh, Tracy, right? No.
Yep. Yes.
Tracy. Okay, and that was South Coast?
Yes.
Deanne
Thanks,
Susino,
Tracy.
South Coast.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Deanne Susino, South Coast.
Thank you.
Wayne DiUlio, South Coast.
Dave Coleman, LA Metro.
Was that Wayne? Who did you say South? Was that South Coast for Wayne?
Wayne, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Wayne.
Dave
Debbie?
Coleman, LA Metro.
Hey, Dave. How did you get placed in the Southern section?
My name was Kathleen Porter for a while there.
Okay. Oh, how funny. Okay, I did see like 3 Kathleens in there. All right. Audio save.
I'll be doing that.
Yes, thank you. And that is the role of the section ledge chair to ensure that we can coordinate. And related to that, I just want to say, for those that maybe aren't ready to participate or can't, if you can encourage them to somehow make a contact with a fact sheet or some information about their school that you can then share for them, is also a really nice and important thing to do. And especially with our consortia work, it does show that we work together collaboratively. Anyone else before we close?
Yeah, I don't think we can emphasize enough those program fact sheets. I haven't heard us say that as many times as we have in the past, Victoria, but I know that you always remember to mention the program fact sheets. It's the one pager that shares so much information about your program and have been so helpful in the past. And you know, those documents, if you just email them out to your legislator, either just before or just after your meeting. I mean, and you know, if you want to, you know, do a share or screen share or however you want to present them, but make sure that they have them because they have been very helpful in the past. And they show positive signs.
Great.
Anything else? Anyone else? Any other ledge chair or?
Maybe Steve or Kathleen, maybe Steve, if you have something, and then our president, Kathleen, and then I think we will close.
Yes, I just wanted to share a really cool idea, and maybe some of the other sections are doing this already, but Gail and Wayne were talking about the plans to really take advantage of Zoom and online meetings, because in the past, you know, trying to get students to travel up to Sacramento was, there's some expenses involved, and there's family arrangements and some, you know, being uncomfortable. Now, this is not to say that Zoom meetings are as easy or easier than face-to-face, because I'm hearing that's not the case and people still get nervous. I get that. But you could have a room full, and we're not limited by office space. So you could have 2 or 3 ESL classes or a diploma class just sitting and listening and just saying, we would like just an opportunity for students to listen. That presents a whole new, I think, perspective maybe for the legislator or staff. And we just, you know, to be fair to them, well, you can let them know we're only going to have 2 or 3 people speak, but these other folks are interested in what the legislator has to say, and you know, it's part of also their civic engagement. So I think that's a great idea. If you get more students to jump, you know, you're sharing the link, and I think it does send a stronger message when you have rooms full of students listening in.
Right.
That's a great.
I see that Kathleen had a thanks everyone. Nice opportunity to plan and connect from our president. And I think we will close. So thank you everyone for your participation. We look forward to your feedback forms, and please do send those Dawn will be looking at them. She always goes through them, and they are very important and valuable to the follow-up work that we can and will do. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. And we will see you soon as we have the run up to the conference.
Thank you, everybody, for your work. Appreciate it.